Have you ever walked out of a conversation feeling like you were losing your mind? Maybe you started off trying to explain something simple, but somehow it turned into you apologizing, doubting yourself, and wondering if you're really the problem. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. So many people end up in relationships, romantic, family, even work, where they feel trapped in a cycle of blame and confusion. And the hardest part? On the surface, everything can look perfectly fine. But underneath, you're carrying the heavy weight of being constantly criticized, dismissed, or made to feel small. When people hear the word abuse, they usually picture shouting, insults, or even physical harm. But narcissistic abuse is different. It's quieter, harder to spot, and that's what makes it so damaging. It's the kind of treatment that leaves you second-guessing yourself every day. It's not always about dramatic fights. It's about the slow erosion of your confidence. Maybe it's the constant blame shifting, or the way they make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. Maybe it's how they act like the rules don't apply to them, while you're left cleaning up the mess. Over time, this kind of dynamic can drain you, making you feel like you've lost pieces of who you are. And the scariest part? You might not even realize it's happening until you're already deep in it. Sign 1. The relationship doesn't feel kind, they always blame you. One of the clearest signs is that the relationship just doesn't feel kind. Arguments don't get resolved, they get twisted. You might bring up something that hurt you, but instead of hearing you out, they flip it and suddenly you're the bad guy. Somehow, no matter what happens, it always circles back to being your fault. Over time, this constant blame shifting chips away at your sense of reality. You stop trusting your own feelings, because every time you speak up, you're told you're too sensitive or making things up. Instead of finding comfort in the relationship, you find yourself tiptoeing around, bracing for the next time you'll be accused of causing the problem. Sign 2. Immature behavior and entitlement. Another big sign is when the person acts like the rules don't apply to them. They want what they want, when they want it, and if they don't get it, you're the one who pays the price. It feels less like being with an equal partner and more like taking care of a demanding child. You might find yourself giving up hobbies, friends, or even quiet time just to keep them satisfied. At first, it can look like compromise, but over time you realize it's one-sided. You're doing all the bending while they keep taking. And the worst part? If you finally speak up, they treat you like you're the selfish one for not catering to their every need. Sign 3. Circular arguments and broken boundaries. Have you ever felt like every argument ends up in the same, exhausting loop? You try to make a point, but somehow the conversation circles back with no real resolution. It feels like running on a hamster wheel. You're pouring out energy, but nothing changes. On top of that, your personal boundaries get brushed aside. Maybe you've said you need space or time to cool off, but they keep pushing until you give in. The pattern leaves you drained and confused, wondering if you'll ever be heard. Over time, you stop setting boundaries altogether because it feels pointless, and that's exactly how control seeps in. Sign 4. Always proving you're a good person. Another painful sign is feeling like you have to constantly defend your character. They project their issues onto you, accusing you of being cold, ungrateful, or untrustworthy. Deep down, you know it's not true, but you find yourself working overtime to prove them wrong. You say yes to things you don't want. You bend over backwards just to avoid being seen as the bad one. It becomes less about living authentically and more about damage control, trying to fix an image that was never yours to begin with. And that constant need to prove yourself slowly steals your peace of mind. Sign 5. You're always cleaning up their mess. This one is exhausting. You start to realize you spend more time fixing their mistakes than living your own life. Maybe it's smoothing things over after they've upset friends, covering for them at work, or even managing the fallout from money or family drama. Whatever the case, you're the one picking up the pieces. And the crazy part? They rarely thank you. Instead, it becomes expected, like it's your role to make sure everything runs smoothly while they keep creating chaos. Over time, you carry not just your own responsibilities, but theirs too, leaving you emotionally drained and resentful. Sign 6. Boundaries lead to punishment or abandonment. Healthy relationships respect no. But in this dynamic, whenever you try to set a boundary, whether it's needing space, saying no to a request, or asking for respect, you're met with anger, guilt-tripping, or the silent treatment. Sometimes they'll even threaten to leave or withdraw affection, making you feel like you're in danger of losing them just for standing up for yourself. That kind of reaction teaches you that having needs equals punishment. Slowly, you stop speaking up at all, just to avoid the backlash. And that silence keeps you trapped in a cycle where your voice no longer feels like it matters. Sign 7. Trauma bond. It feels like an addiction. One of the hardest traps is the trauma bond. Even when you know the relationship is unhealthy, something keeps pulling you back. It's like a roller coaster. Moments of charm or affection make you forget the pain, at least for a while. That intermittent reward creates a powerful hook, the same way people get addicted to gambling or substances. Your brain craves the high of their attention, even though the lows leave you devastated. This push and pull makes walking away feel impossible, because part of you clings to the hope that the good moments will come back and finally last. Sign 8. Escalating symptoms of abuse. The longer this cycle continues, the more it shows up in your body and mind. You might notice constant anxiety, low-level depression, sleepless nights, or even physical health issues like headaches and fatigue. It's not all in your head. Your nervous system is under constant stress. The relationship stops being just emotionally draining. It starts to affect your whole well-being. And the saddest part? You may not connect the dots right away, blaming work or everyday stress, when the truth is, the toxic dynamic is slowly wearing you down. Recognizing this link is often the wake-up call people need to finally break free. Why it's so hard to leave. If all of this sounds unbearable, you might wonder, why don't people just walk away? The truth is, leaving isn't simple. When you've been caught in this cycle, your mind gets tangled in something psychologists call cognitive dissonance. On one hand, you know the relationship is hurting you. On the other, you remember the charm, the apologies, the rare moments of tenderness that gave you hope things could change. That tug of war inside your head keeps you stuck because you're constantly questioning, was it really that bad? Maybe I overreacted. Maybe it'll get better. Add in the trauma bond, and it feels less like making a choice and more like breaking an addiction. Fear also plays a role. Fear of being alone, fear of retaliation, or fear that no one else will understand. All of this creates a powerful web that makes leaving feel impossible, even when deep down, you know you deserve peace. The way out: 3 steps to reclaim yourself. Breaking free doesn't mean you suddenly fix the other person. It means you start choosing yourself again. The first step is setting clear boundaries. That might sound simple, but in toxic dynamics, boundaries can feel like a battle. Start small. Say no to little things. Practice keeping promises to yourself, and remind your nervous system that it's safe to draw the line. The second step is self-healing. Instead of spending all your energy analyzing their behavior, turn the spotlight inward. Ask yourself, what do I need to feel grounded today? Maybe it's rest, therapy, journaling, or simply reconnecting with friends who remind you who you are outside this relationship. Healing isn't about perfection. It's about steady progress. The third step is seeking support. This can mean talking to a trusted friend, finding a therapist who understands narcissistic abuse, or joining a community where people share similar experiences. Having others validate your story helps break the illusion that you're crazy or too sensitive. You don't have to rebuild your life overnight, but each small choice to honor yourself is a brick in the foundation of a new, healthier future. Closing. You deserve peace. At the end of the day, no one deserves to live in a constant state of fear, confusion, or exhaustion. A real relationship, whether it's with a partner, a friend, or family, should lift you up, not tear you down. If you've recognized yourself in these signs, let this be your reminder. You are not weak, and you are not broken. You're someone who has been carrying far too much for far too long. Choosing to step away, or even just starting to imagine a different life, is already an act of courage. Healing doesn't erase the past, but it gives you the chance to write a new story. One where your voice matters, your needs matter, and where peace is not just a dream, but your reality. If this video spoke to you, know that you're not alone. Share it with someone who might need these words today. You never know who's quietly struggling. Drop a comment and let us know which part resonated most, because your voice could be the encouragement another person is waiting for. And if you'd like more conversations that remind you of your strength and worth, hit subscribe and stay connected with us.